Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Laurel Park for today's 9-race card. I'm Kimber Goodwin filling in for Stan Salter today, joined by
Kimber.
Keith Fustel. How
Yeah,
are you?
I'm doing well. How was your Pegasus day?
It was, I'm emotionally exhausted after yesterday. Not only rooting for Gunrunner, who goes out a winner and puts the perfect ending on his story, but Kentucky coming back from a 17-point deficit to win at West Virginia, knocking out the 7th-ranked team in the country. Then all this studying for today, it was emotionally exhausting.
It is a lot of work. And like you say, you added in the basketball. Did they cover the spread, though, Kentucky? I guess they did, right?
It didn't matter to me. They got the win. That's what mattered. Well, we do have a little rain at Laurel Park today. However, we do have lots of things going on around the country, and we have a nice 9-race card here. And we had a really good card yesterday with a lot of stakes races and some impressive performances.
We did. The track yesterday, kind of a little bit of a reversion to what it was September, October, November, part of December, where we saw a lot of horses high and wide, 5 and 6 wide, getting the job done. Running it through in the Marshall Stakes limited view. A 74 got back on her game, a little gate trouble. In the Native Dancer, Fleet Willie was strong, knocking off John Jones. I thought the race of the day, still having fun, was able to kind of buck maybe if there was a bias yesterday in the Frank Whiteley for Tim Keefe. His horses run 3 strong races back to back to back, was able to slip up inside of horses and one going away with a preliminary buyer of 90. That's strong for a real sprinter around here in the Nellie Morse. And the Navy now with a big upset for Trombetta, who was out and about the 9 path, getting a hot dog and going on by.
That horse ended up being my paddock pick in that race because she just looked so good in a very deep competitive field. And that Salzman filly, when she keeps her head right, she's as good as anybody on the grounds. And, a Fleet Willie looked on paper like the only speed in the race. And even though 2 starts ago when he had that gate trouble and he rallied from last and showed that he has a lot of dimension to him, went back to his old running style yesterday and was pretty much, after that first quarter, you just knew that it was all over.
He got away with a soft opening quarter, half. He kind of stayed slightly off the rail. John Jones looked like he had to measure, but just when the pace picked up past the 3/8, you could tell John Jones was not going to be able to keep up. It wasn't his day. But Azatva, he's rounding back to, I think, one of his best form. I know he doesn't really get going till late, but he had a strong gallop out. He's going to get the right kind of setup here recently because he's moving back to where he was.
And he's going to be a price. He almost always is. And I thought it was a great race from him because that early pace was not something to run at, and he was dead last down the backstretch. So I thought an even better performance trying to rally from last off of that pretty slow pedestrian pace up front that a Fleet Willie controlled.
Yes.
So.
I mean, looking real quick at the Pegasus, though, an early preliminary buy, 119 for Gunrunner with that win. West Coast really ran a great race. Unfortunately, was second best with a 115. And I want to give a shout out. The whole gang down there at Gulfstream, they did a great job. Action Andy sent me some shots. He had a great time. He went down and visited. He's down there again today. But the call, I listened to it again in the car. Then you get a real sense of a race call. I tell you, Stronach is lucky. Pete Aiello, Dave Robin, they're 2 of the best. And that call yesterday was one of the best I've heard. Perfect, clear, concise, descriptive, strong, powerful voice. That was really, really good. Not a lot of fluff. A lot of go a little fluffy. No. As a chart caller and somebody's called a lot of races, that was good. That was real good.
It was a great race, and I thought that exacta of $17 was a gift because, that looked pretty straightforward. But talk about a tough card at Gulfstream today. Almost $4 million in the Rainbow Pick 6, and I'm going to take a little flyer. I mean, it's a mandatory payout today. You got to take a shot, right?
I'm going to jump on board of a couple people that I know have done their homework. I know our man Stan is in there just going to town on it. Actually, Action Andy down in Florida is going to put together a ticket. I have not had a chance to really delve into it. I'll make a small ticket on my own, but hopefully I can get a piece and maybe a whole group of us will take it down.
There's no Gunrunner today that is a stone-cold single at Gulfstream. So if you're playing that, put your thinking caps on because it's a tough card. And speaking of tough cards, we have one today here at Laurel. The track right now is good. Do you feel like we might get muddy downgrade or – we are still collecting some rain here.
Yeah, I just have not looked at the long-range forecast for the rest of the day. I guess I should have, as an astute handicapper should, right? We should be doing these things. But if it's a steady rain, I think we'll get to muddy. But as right now, the track is sealed pretty tight. I'm going to start it at good. and we'll just monitor it through the course of the day.
All right, let's get rolling. First race on the card is 5.5 furlongs. It's a nickel claiming group for the ladies, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Scratch the plain one, Crystal Pier, who was my top selection, and scratch the 7, Marnisa Big Girl. And who'd you go with in this race?
All right, I'm going to go with Porte Cochere. I think there's enough speed in here for this horse to get a good setup, dropping down from 13,000. Well, it was in the 15 down the 12 range, was running for 13.5, and just really hasn't had that late punch that I thought she would have. She's going to drop down to the right kind of class. I think 5.5 is good, a little moisture in the racetrack. Carolina Gold looks like the target. I know she had some gait problems last time out. Almodovar is back on. He really fits her to a T. She's going to set sail, but you can't really take anything away from Blue Hen Madness's last race. We've got a video of Blue Hen Madness from January the 8th, right?
We do, yes.
And super sharp and going the right direction for, I think she's probably the one to beat. Good internals, 23.47, and kind of went to the lead with ease. Put away My Heart's in the City around the turn and just says, I'm going to respond when you ask me, and just goes away. Gets a little challenge there from Storm and Margaret, but once the jock goes to work here, leaving the 3/16 pole, it's over. She widens. She's been able to kind of pair up good numbers in the past for Scott Lake. He knows her whole card, and I think she's going to make the first run into that speed of Carolina Gold. Porte Cochere, she's going to have to be right, though, to run her down. One of these two to get you started.
That was my top selection in this race. I agree she should show speed. And, she's won 10 races out of 45 lifetime starts. That's a pretty good clip, especially for a nickel claimer to be that consistent. And she has a win and a second on the off track. So even if we collect a lot more water and it's muddy, I don't think that would bother her. But, last time you could just see the jock throwing the reins at her. She still had plenty to go, and he's just showing her the stick. So she left with something. She won with something in reserve.
Yeah, she won 2 of her last 3, and in the race in the between, she was stuck down on the rail when the rail was not good.
And you also have an early pick 5 ticket.
I do. That's right.
All
we do.
right. Let's take a look
and
at
real
that.
quick, the Super High Five, we won't get that started until race 3, where we have 8 betting interests, and that carryover is 23.46. We'll talk about that in third. Here's the early pick 5 and a couple singles, something I usually don't do. And I thought this was a $24 ticket. Am I wrong? 3 times 4 is 12, right?
Right.
Times 4
is
48.
Yes, that's $24.
24. Okay, cost is 24. Yeah.
You're asking me to do math on a Sunday morning? Come on, Keith.
All right, 1, 2, 5 to get you started. Carolina Gold, Porte Cochere, and Blue Hen Madness. We're going to spread a little bit deeper there in race 2. I had a little trouble with that race. 1, 4, 5, and 6. Singling Hey Willie as a speed in race number 3, the 8-horse. 4th race, 3, 4, 6, 8. Interesting to see what develops. I don't know where that race came from for the 4 Ms. Bellicose last time out. She could be awfully tough if she repeats it, but I think she's going to get pressure from Mila Jane. And singling in the 5th with the 1 Duke and Whitdale, Claudio poised for a big day, right?
Seconditis for that horse. We'll see. I mean, I looked at him a long time, and I kept trying to find someone for him to finish second to, and I ended up picking him as well. But he certainly likes to finish second. But maybe today's the day. So we already talked about the 2, Porte Cochere, who rattled off 3 in a row. And kind of, I don't really like to pick horses on the big drop, but she returns back to where she started just a few races ago. So she stepped up in ambitious placing, and it was just a little too tough. But back at this level, I think she looks tough. So
her race 3 back. Lady Turp went on, I think, to win either starter or an allowance race for Lake. The 4-back tried, not as strong as a field. She's going to have to be on her game, though, because I tell you, this horse of Lake's awfully sharp right now. Blue Hen Madness. Let's go to race 2.
Let's go to the second. We have a mile race for $10,000 claimers, fillies and mares. They're 4 and 5-year-olds, and in this race, we do not have any scratches. And I went to the 5. I mean, I've got so many marks on this paper and this horse. I'm like, I don't even know. I've probably made about 15 notes on this one horse, and I ended up with the 5, Fleur de Force. This is a take back. I always like it when a connection loses a horse and then at first opportunity takes the horse back. So McGee lost her for I'm sorry, Maldonado lost her for a nickel, then claimed her right back last time out from McGee and steps her up this time to 10. But I think she caught a field for 10 that she might be able to handle.
Yeah, I don't think this is a major step up at all. She is a 6-time winner. She knows where the wire is. She's can run pretty much the same kind of figures as the rest of this group. Like the way she sustained from the outside, dueled a little bit, and went clear last time out. And she's going to get a good trip out in the middle part of the racetrack. I'll take Fair Me, though, the 6. I don't think anybody's going to be a huge favorite in this race. This horse just bit off more than she could chew last time. That was a much tougher group. Patriotic Endeavor was a dropper, but you saw she was trying. She only got beat 7 lengths. The buyer is there, 63. She's going in the right direction. I don't think that really damaged her confidence. Acasa, a rider who's aggressive, will get her in range, just like he did on Vente to Go yesterday. Can get these horses and carry them the last quarter of a mile. I'll take Fair Me with Florida Force. Golden Treasury right there as well.
And I agree with you on your top pick, and we just reversed the top two. The question is really who's going to show the speed in this race. The 2 African Wildcat had shown some speed in the past, and Bad Nana might be the pace setter, but there's not a pure speed horse in this race, so I don't expect the pace to be torrid. And hopefully nobody gets too far back. Fleur de Force does like to close a little bit, but I don't think she'll be that far off the lead, which doesn't look to be swift.
Right, Bad Nana looks like one of those horses. If she's going to jump up, she's going to jump up in a big way on the barn change. She's only had 2 tries over on a dirt surface. She was on synthetic and turf up at Woodbine. Had trouble. Did have an excuse. I saw that race 2 back at Penn. Last time out, dueled inside. They didn't go blazing, but she is probably going to go ahead and set sail in here. You may want to do a protect, but she looks like she's all or out of it.
Indeed.
All right.
Let's go to the third. This is the start of the Super High Five today. We do have that carryover of $2,346 that will be up for grabs in race number 3. It's a 7-furlong contest for 4-year-olds and up. They are nickel claimers. We do not have any scratches in race number 3. There's the Super High Five again, 2346. And it will begin. We have shorter fields in races 1 and 2. So race 3 is your first opportunity for that Super High Five with a 15% takeout. Let's go to the third race. Who'd you like?
Hey, Willie. Hey, Willie.
Hey, Willie.
Hey, Willie. Haven't seen him for a while, right? He's been up at Charlestown, Penn, Delaware. Has come back, is fresh and ready to go for Claudio Gonzalez. 5 wins from 16 starts and 4/3 over the surface. I don't see anybody going with Hey, Willie. I think he just beats the gate. If he comes away cleanly, he clears, stays maybe 2 or 3 path nursed along, and can get it done at the 7 furlongs.
And, sometimes I don't like to take horses on the drop. I don't like to take horses on the double and triple drop, but this is a drop just enough that he looks like he's back where he belongs. And not a bad race from him last time out for just a little step above. Battled for the lead at Penn National and then finished 4th, but again, does really like this Laurel surface. Only has 1 win on the off track, so we'll see how much rain we get and if that might be a factor, but I also went with him. And I took a flyer here on the 2, Just Been Jammin', who's shipping in from Hawthorne. We don't see a lot of Hawthorne shippers, but moves to the barn of Gerald Brooks, comes off a short layoff from November, and this horse was in good form a few months ago. It's just the unknown quantity that sometimes can mix it up. A lot of these horses have seen each other a lot of times, and now you have a new shooter in the game, and I'm willing to take a flyer at a price with him.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking for a little bit of a price. I'm going to use a price underneath, maybe with a 1. Bo Ziggity connections probably don't get a lot of attention, but I thought the last couple races have been pretty good. Was taken back off of a slower pace, tried to make a move into it and just fizzled. I think this horse, aggressively ridden early, can get position, maybe get the stalking spot, and maybe run as a team, Hey Willie, and Bo Ziggity around the racetrack. Risky guy, I just don't know what's happened with him. His form seems to have tailed off. Apollo Landing, he's beaten up on lesser. But he knows how to win, obviously, in Wrightwood, and maybe dropping back where his run is most powerful at this distance for Jerry Robert. Reached in, grabbed it off of Cartagena. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more last time out as the favorite. I think they've got to catch Hey Willie in race number 3.
And Apollo Landing has shown the best recent form, and that was at Charlestown. But sometimes it's enough to give those horses confidence. And even though at a $5,000 race at Charlestown is just a little step below a $5,000 race here, this horse is showing the best local form. And I agree with you. I don't know what's going on with Risky Guy. He continues to drop, but he doesn't continue to improve. So he
No.
just kind of goes down to the level he's at, but he's capable of winning at this level, and he does like Laurel, and he has really good off-track form should the track get more moisture.
He's done okay at the distance. I just expected a little bit more oomph, from
Right.
the 3/8 pole home in his last couple races. He just simply hasn't done it, and he's had some okay setups
I just
to
think
get it done.
in this card, I can go 4 or 5 deep in every race and go, yes, I can see that horse winning. I can see that horse winning. It's just they're so evenly matched that they're a little bit tough to
When
separate.
I was doing the line and working on this card, the same thing. It was giving me a headache. I'm like, where do I go? Because there's not a lot of consistency.
Which means the money will be spread around,
Yes.
and the exactas usually pay really well on cards like this.
Yep.
Well, we have gone through the first third of the card. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the paddock at Laurel Park on this Sunday fun day where someone might take home a lot of money in the pick six at Gulfstream Park. We also have a pick six here at Laurel. Slightly less than $3.9 million of a carryover. We have $1,418 in our pick six, and sometimes maybe you need to keep your eye on the smaller prize. Everyone's money is going to be going to Gulfstream, and this pot could be vulnerable today. I mean, look, if I take home a couple $1,000s today, I'm pretty happy.
The way my life is and the way it goes, 14, 18, you hand it to me, that'll feel like $3 million right now.
Exactly. I'd take
Sheesh.
$14.81.
Desperate
That
times
would
call
be great.
For desperate measures. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the fourth race on the card. It's a mile race for the 3-year-old fillies. They are for sale. $15,000 is the asking price. Again, it's the kickoff of the 20-cent Rainbow Pick Six, and we're on different horses here, although I do like your 6, Mila Jane.
You're going to go with a 7. I like your little price angle here, and this is a race where we could see a little bit of a blow-up. I went back with Mila Jane. First time Corrales, maybe caught a track, going to catch a track today like she did last time where she just absolutely got. Now, the 12th of January was a pretty good speed day. Speed was carrying, but I go back on her form, and she's been able to kind of sit just off the pace, and I think that's maybe what she's going to have to do with Miss Melikos in here, who kind of blew it up at 34-1 with a race out of no man's land at Penn National last time. So I think Mila Jane, the way the track played yesterday, if it holds true this afternoon, can go ahead, sit outside, put away the other speed, and she's going to have to hold off the closers, kind of like maybe you're 7, you are still the 1.
And Mila Jane beat the 8 Shekor and also the 2 Little Storm, and they all came out of the same race. And I dug out a long shot in here. I don't think today is going to be necessarily chalky. I think you're going to get, every race I think is going to pay $9, $10, maybe $12 just because they're going to be so evenly matched in the betting window. But you're still the 1, ran a mile and a 16th last time, has only sprinted once in her life, and today shortens up to the mile. She was just overmatched last time for $25,000, and those, that was over a good track at Laurel. For $25,000 2 starts ago, she finished 4th. She got away a little slow last time, which took her out of her game, I think, and she just never really picked up her feet or showed any interest. Now, she did run against Shekor, but that was back on the 22nd of December. I just took a flyer in here. I wasn't in love with anybody, so I was looking for a price.
Yeah, there's no stick out when you really look at it. Ruby's Fire is interesting. Dropped last time, expected a little better effort. She's going to get a feel that she's going to be able to lay closer to. Can she kind of go ahead and stretch it back out to a mile off of the 5.5? I'm not so sure. But Shekor was hampered by the way the speed was dominant on the 12th. Goes for Jerry Brooks. I think this horse can kind of revert to the 2-back try and make the steady run. She's proven a 2-time winner over this surface. She's going to be okay in here. She's going to get a good setup. I'm going to use her in the mix. 6, 8, 4, and 3. And
Shekor was the favorite last time out when Mila Jane just crushed the field. And I can't tell you how many times I see that a horse is even money or 6-5, comes back the next time against the exact same horses and goes off 5 or 6-1 and then wins.
And like I said, we talked about that track. She was up against it the way that track was playing that day.
And let's turn the page to race number 5. We have a sprint race here for $7,500 claimers, 4-year-olds and up, non-winners of a race in the last 6 months. And we both end up with the horse that's had a bit of second-itis, Dukin with Dale. Don't forget, this is the start of the pick 5 with that industry low 12% takeout. So Dukin with Dale, he last time out just lost just could not get there, but look at his lifetime record, 14 runner-up finishes. He does like the off track, so again, if it continues to rain, he's been first or second in 6 out of his 8 tries. He likes this distance, but he just likes to finish second.
He does. I think he's going to get an okay setup. If the 2 and the 3 break, and they break well and they come out okay, I don't have a lot separating them through the opening quarter of them. I think Malibu Sunset, if anybody's going to survive the speed, it's going to be him. We've seen him kind of go out in some torrid pace, his battles, and be able to hold on for a piece. I think Dukin with Dale can just slide up into position. He's got enough tactical speed to sit there and just go ahead and track those 2. And at the 5.5 with a little bit of moisture in this racetrack, I think he's going to be okay. I think he gets it back on the winning track. 3 straight seconds, gets a win here today on the wet surface, and hopefully we're alive and we get him home in the pick 5.
I think that Dukin with Dale is going to have to go back to the form he showed last time out, which is sitting just off that pace, because you're right, Malibu Sunset, who has been the favorite in his last 7 trips to the post, and he's only won 2 of those. He's going to get a lot of backing today, but probably Dukin with Dale is going to be the favorite. I mean, in those 2 nose losses that Dukin with Dale has, it's not like he's spit the bit. He's just gotten the worst of the bob or the photo, or just last time he was just a step too late, but he is definitely the one to beat.
The big key is, too, he's been running against open company, open 75. He's back here. He's going into condition. Right. I think that's key for him. There is relief in this race.
And Troubled Waters, who shipped in from the fairgrounds last time out, ran for a nickel and finished a decent 3rd in that race. I think will benefit from his first trip in a while, since he's been all over the place. He's been in Florida, he's been in New Orleans, he's been in Chicago. He's well traveled, and I think he is eligible to improve.
Yeah, no doubt. He's 6 for 6 in the money. Hasn't won at the distance, but he's okay. He'll make a run from it. I use the Iron Bank as price underneath. I've caught this horse a couple times. Vargas stays. I'll just toss the race at Parks. This horse will sit under a good firm rating hold, and we'll make a run into it. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish like Dukin with Dale. I don't think he's close to him, but if the speed just fizzles, he can suck in there for a piece.
Let's move along to race number 6 on the card. We have 7 furlongs. It's a $10,000 claiming race, and in this race, fillies and mares, they are 4 or 5-year-olds, and we do not have any scratches in this race. I went with the 3 Intrepid Forest off the claim, who has 5 lifetime wins, and really 4 out of the last 5 races, Intrepid Forest has had a picture taken.
Yeah, and the question is, did these new connections catch Vegas stealing? I'm not so sure. We'll see. That was an aggressive move last time. We caught her actually the last 2 times. She's been at Laurel, but she's going to have to deal with some other speed types on the front end. Yeah, she's shown she can rate. I'm just a little leery off the jam job if she's going to be able to come right back and do it. We have video of the 7, Miss Kravorchka, off of her last race, I believe, in that race against Socially Driven. Do we have that, guys? We don't. That's twice now. I think I put. Well, I'm losing my mind. You remember, I got hit with a baseball. I got hit in the head a couple of weeks ago. So
describe it
so
for us
I'm writing
visually.
it down that I had a video, but maybe I didn't translate it and put it in an email. Sorry, guys. But anyhow, Miss Kravorchka ran very well. Socially Driven was coming off of a bang-up win at Tampa in a big number. She held form. Speed, Vide, shifted back out and kept on gamely. I think she's going to be forcing the issue. The key is the 7 furlong distance, because just to her outside is St. Penny, who does have speed.
Yes.
Is she quite as quick? I don't know. Maybe Miss Kravorchka can run this field off their feet. Intrepid Forest will be part of it. Linny B, she's going to have to improve, but, Scott Lake can do this. He's 26% with the fillies and mares, winning last out for less than 10,000, sprinting on the dirt. It's first time for Scott. Last time she gallops. She ran the same day, December 30th, as where's my other horse? St. Penny. Didn't run quite as fast, but had a little different scenario up front. I think she can draft into a good position. I like the 7 furlongs. Going from a 4% trainer to Scott Lake, who's doing well right now.
That's what I was
maybe
gonna
a
say.
slight upset price for Linny B.
I think last time that was a great price to go from Scott Lake's barn from a 4% trainer. That was just waiting for you to cash a ticket on that. But you can see we're all over the place in this race, and I think I only saw really one horse in here that I didn't think had a shot to win it, and that's just how deep you're going to have to go in this race. It's just you can make a case for just about anybody. And socially driven, that race you talked about where Miss Kavorska was second in that race. Also, Dixie Rose came out of that race. My Golden Rose came out of there. So a lot of these horses have seen each other many times, and the reason I went with Intrepid Forest is, she's also has the most wins of anybody on the card, 5 wins out of 13 lifetime starts, and a perfect 2 for 2 on the off track. But it's a wide open affair.
It is. My Golden Rose is another price I'm going to use in here. I'm not going to let Kieran McGee get off at double digits, what I think she's going to be. She was down inside on the 12th, and once again, speed was pretty good that day, and she just didn't pick it up at all. He's deadly though, second off the claim. I think second time out for this barn, you're going to get a good price. Vargas stays. This horse can rally into it as well. The only thing, 5.5 to 7. That's a tough little move for horses here. Lenny B's your price shot, and the 4 in there. Miss Kavorska, maybe even Dixie Rose. Didn't bring my answers, but this is a spread race, race 6 in my opinion.
Absolutely. The 7th race on the card, we're going 2 turns in this one, a mile into 16th. We have 4-year-olds and up. It's an optional claiming 25,000 to other than, and in this race, scratch the 7 Shakenator. And another race that's just a little bit of a head scratcher, and horses doing all different kinds of things, stretching out. It's coming out of stakes races, coming off the claim, and I just went with the most consistent of them all. Team Tim, who is looking for his 3rd in a row, looks to close, likes the off track if that's a factor, and I hope we'll get the scratch of Shakenator takes out some of the speed, but hopefully gets enough of a pace to run at.
Yeah, outside post. But this horse, I think, will go ahead and just draft in early. He doesn't have that kind of speed. Connections, they've been pretty lucky and pretty fortunate. They claimed this horse back for 20, ran it back for 20, 67 to 66. They're not the kind of buyers that usually win an open 20 around here, and he got a great setup last time. But this barn is very capable off the claim. We know year in and year out Damon does a great job claiming horses. I like the fact that he's been showing he can win. He wants to win. He'll make a run into the pace, no doubt about it. I'm going to come back tepidly with the 4 Southside Warrior. I think just kind of fizzled out on the 12th, was up forcing the issue. Maybe the horse can sit just a little bit further off of it before making the move. He's held very good company at Trombetta, although I didn't think it was correct, but he's done well with favorites over here over the last couple of years. So I'll use Southside Warrior on top.
He came out of that stakes race in the Jennings, and he went postward as the very short favorite in there, but just ran a little flat, just kind of, tracked the pace and then just didn't fire. That was in the mud, so he's only 1 for 4 on the off track. Is that going to be the factor, and especially with moisture in the track today? But what is not in the form is first-time gelding today. So that is a big, big handicapping angle. So
you're doing your homework. You're staying up, burning the midnight oil, and rolling.
Indeed. Yeah. And this horse, he was lower in my picks because just because he didn't show much last time out, but I almost put him on top, but I wasn't willing to take a short price on him given that he was a little flat last time out. I also used the 3 Monkeys Medal, who finished 4th in his last couple, and the second place horse came out of that race last time and ended up winning, but he's over 20 at the distance, and I'm just using something at a price. It's just it's anybody's race. I think
this is another right. I mean, Southside Warrior. I can't believe I took him on top, but I did. I just kind of defaulted to him when looking at the company lines he's kept. He's made okay for him. He dropped off last time, but if this is true, reported gelding for the first time. If it's first time gelding coming back in kind of a short run from the 12th to the 28th.
That's what Equibase says. You might know somebody.
I've got it here on the proof gelding, but it was as a horse on the racing form, my early PP. So Spirit Grabber though, the one to catch, stretching out, and I think this Kieran McGee / Farrier entry is going to be potent. Primetime man, I think back in the barn of Kieran ran very well 2 races back at a mile, keying up against Dat Melly. Spirit Grabber will go set it up. Primetime man will try to rally into it.
And that's another take back for McGee.
Yes.
He lost him and then took him back at the first opportunity from John Hartzell. The 8th race on the card is 6 furlongs. It is a starter allowance, 32,000 optional claimer, 3 other than. really very, very nice race.
Yes.
Horses coming out of a lot of horses coming out of Stakes Company. The 3 Loki's Revenge says I will wait for another day, but we still have a nice field of 8. Very deep race, and I ended up going with a price in this race. I took the 5 Even Thunder, and this horse has not been out since June. But John Service, who won yesterday and who does not send anything out here that doesn't have a legit chance. What I really noticed is this horse back in July broke his maiden at Canterbury, and since then has taken on everything. Now, not a whole lot of success. Did have a minor stakes win at Canterbury, but this horse never run an allowance company. Broke his maiden for maiden special weight and has been straight stakes from then on. So this is his first try in allowance. Service wins at 21% off the layoff, and at 10-1, I thought I'm going to take a shot with this horse.
Look at this. They're herring the track right now. Yeah, so if this rain is maybe going to depart, this track could be fast. Good
It
to
could
fast
be.
right now to start, as they are harrowing the racetrack with 41 minutes to post time. Yeah, really good job racing golf. It's a good race.
It is a good race.
Fellowship. Do we have video of this one?
We should have
There
video
we
of this one.
go.
Number 2, Fellowship. Yes.
On
there you
January
go.
the 8th, out of the Dave's Friend. Fellowship towards the back of the pack, and 9th early on, and trying to navigate through some traffic. Favorite Tail and Struth going out. Look right there, almost next to last. A little steady, losing momentum in the yellowish cap and about the 3 path. Second last right now. That little steady, a loose loss of momentum. It could have cost a placing for Fellowship, kind of working out through some traffic through the stretch, but kind of like Fellowship at a price that day. You're not going to get 25-1, but when this horse finally gets clear, finish up with good energy. A little flash there at the wire. Oh, Clem Florio, I used to like seeing that. You watch the video and look for that flash of a horse coming by. Next time out, Fellowship, I think, will be poised. Maybe he can get a little bit closer by the time they turn for home. We'll have some speed to target. Showalter, Mr. Benz coming off the 5.5 may force the issue. And Colonel Sharp, first time for McMahon, I think, will be up on the engine. I like Fellowship in here, along with the 9 Measured and the 1 Irish Colonel.
I used Fellowship as well, and we lost some of the speed with Loki's Revenge,
Yeah.
which puts Showalter really
Right.
as your lone speed in this race. Now, last time out, he did spit the bit, and he's always shown speed in the past, but look at the trouble line. He was slow on the brake and then had to be rushed up. That hardly ever works out when you're trying to get to the lead and you're using your horse that much in especially a 6-furlong race to go out in Stakes Company, mind you, and to get there in 22-2. He had every reason to give an excuse in that race to quit and back in for the allowance ranks today. He could get away with a much softer pace.
I think he's the key of the race. If he can kind of go ahead and get clear. Colonel Sharp has shown some pretty good speed in the past. Goes for this new barn. He's fresh, but he's down inside of Showalter. So we'll see the tactics maybe in that opening furlong. But Showalter, if he goes ahead and clears, he could last a long way. And Gary Cap at a price. I think you'll still get an okay price on Showalter. But I think Measured has run well over this racetrack before. He's paired up some mid-80 numbers behind Imperial Hint early on in the year in the fire plug. He back on form last time out, beat a horse, Giant Trick, who'd run a 92 in his prior race at Parks, and Goldman, who came down and ran an 88 at Laurel on a starter. So keeping good company is Measured. He fires, a good late run. Fellowship, though, going to be the top selection.
Well, we have broken it all down for you, and now we're at the end of the card, the 9th and final race. We have 7 furlongs. They're nickel claimers, 4-year-olds and up. And in this race, we do have a scratch of the 8, Ole, Ole, Ole. And in this race, who'd you take?
Pachi Cruz, just really hampered by a bad beginning when Crimson
We do have
Secret.
video of that.
I'm glad the guys are staying on top of it. Maybe I'll come to here in the next week or two. But just kind of lost any real chance. I thought he'd make a little bit of a run. You there kind of broke a little slow, then was squeezed back. And he ends up 7 or 8 out of it. That's good enough, guys, and was just never able to kind of get going. A little drop in class here. I kind of prefer him at a little bit longer distance, 6 or 7 furlongs. Ogeechee, though, keeping really good form. 2 in a row since being transferred into the Claudio Gonzalez barn.
I took the 6 Union Blues. This horse was the beaten favorite last time out. First start for the new barn of Kieran McGee, but had trouble at the start. He was the beaten favorite, but he was really getting to the winner that day. A lot of the horses in here, or several of the horses, also came out of that race. And that took him. He usually sits closer to the pace than he did last time, but of course that stumble put him a little bit further back. But he was getting to the winner. That was his first start since November. He had been training forwardly coming back from that layoff, and if not for the misstep at the beginning, he probably would have won that race.
And Vargas did a nice job after the trouble at the beginning. Got this horse to rate. He made a nice move, just with second best Ogeechee, who's really kind of been tenacious once he gets up towards the lead. He's tough to go by. But now we're stretching 5.5 to 7.
Right.
How does this race develop? Mo Focus is another speed type with Caballero going for trainer Richard Vega, shipping in from Parks and dropping slightly out of that 4 in life. Now it goes to basically a 3 in life. So pace should be honest. I like Union Blues' positioning towards the outside part of the racetrack today. I think Pachi Cruz might have a little bit better sustained run, but we're going to go 3, 6, 1, and 4 in the last. Gotham News, and he just tossed the last at a mile. Lacey's done well with these older horses, kind of reviving them. And first time in the barn, the ROI, just over 250 and a good win percentage. This horse doesn't have a whole lot of speed. We'll look for a setup up front.
And Ogeechee has won 4 out of his last 5 races. It's just the question of the 7 furlongs, because the last time he went 7 furlongs, that was just a horrendous race at Charlestown. But I think he's a little better than that. And I had a question mark on the 7 Circle of Light, who's 10 to 1 in the morning line. This horse coming off the turf. Last time he ran on the dirt, he was in for a $16,000 claiming level and was only beaten 7 lengths in that race. Has been training forwardly at Pimlico and is the unknown quantity in here, in my opinion.
Hasn't really run quite as fast as he's on the dirt. To me, they're giving this horse away if he's okay. Because, look, what's he get beat? 2 lengths with trouble for $10,000 on the grass?
Right.
Grass season's not that far away. I don't know. That's a head-scratcher, Circle of Light. Maybe they're trying to scare some guys off. I don't know.
It's part strategy. It's part placement.
That's why
it's
you play the game.
Exactly. Well, that takes us through the Sunday Fun Day card here at Laurel Park. We are 35 minutes away from race number 1. Thank you, Keith, as always, for your insight.
Good having you. You did a great job yesterday, kind of giving out some good information here in the paddock on the body language and everything, waking some people up. We need that. Yeah.
Right. It's one of them paid $22. Another one paid $21. So these horses will talk to you if you listen to them. So
you know what you're doing. Don't come on.
Well, that was very kind to say. We are 34 minutes away from race number 1. Track right now listed as muddy. They did just harrow it, so stay tuned as we continue to get some rain about what our track condition will end up being. And Dave Rodman will be along shortly with all of your changes for today. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck.